for the late joiners club to introduce again architect Hiten Sethi as it doesn't require any introduction. He is a name which is followed by many young architects across the country, and is like a role model for them. So all over to you, Hiten Bhai, for your excellent presentations. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jitendra. You have always been kind with words and showering good praises. But we just try to do simple things efficiently. Anand has always been so inspiration by his kind of sort of informative talks about how IGBC operates, and I'm sure by the end of the session, many young people who not known IGBC earlier would definitely become a part of IGBC. I'm sure it's a vast platform, and some years back I got an opportunity to be a part of IGBC, and there was no looking back, and I found it so informative and a very nice platform where you can enrich yourself as well as your whole team and people whom you know. Through various factors, a very good synergy between rating systems, your suppliers, and your own analysis of your design. So it works out quite good for me. So anyway, guys, first of all, still we are in good morning. So good morning to all. I'd like to give you a case study based on the basic principles what Anand has spoken and what we tend to achieve through one of my case studies of a hospital building. If you can give me a second, I can just start broadcast. Hmm. Yeah. So here we are, and can everybody see the screen, please? Uh,
Yes, sir. We can see.
okay. So go green or die. So let's talk about
Yeah, I
green
think
building and sustainable architecture. And I'll be presenting one case study on IGBC rated project. Um, so to start with, this is where we stand today, Earth, a torched planet. Um we see from 2004, let's start analyzing ourselves from last 16 years. Like 2020, I prefer to forget. So from 2019 to from 2004 to 2019, 15 years, we have seen um, tsunamis, we have seen hurricanes, we saw Kedarnath floods, Typhoon Haiyan, Philippines, Hurricane Maria, Puerto Rico, volcanic eruptions at Guatemala 2018, earthquake at Papua New Guinea 2018, Victoria Falls, Zambia, which is one of the most perhaps well-known tourist spots, and what we saw in December 2019, just in 10 months. New Delhi. I'm sure there must be some people from New Delhi attending this particular thing. You need no explanation on what used to happen, of course, before the lockdown. Australian forest recently, which happened in 2019. And finally, we come to a conclusion that we are the problem. And fortunately, we are also the solution. And our Earth needs our help. So we have sort of been professionals in most different fields. Right now on the platform, we have maybe architects, builders, engineers, environmentalists, manufacturers. I mean, we have the solutions. What we can do, we cannot change the world, but we can definitely do our bit to change the world. You know. So what more needs to be seen? There's a visible climatic change which triggered the green building movement. As all the participants from the building industry, this is what we can actually become a part of in a very serious and matured fashion. What is part of sustainability? It is just a symbiotic meshing of region, city, district, site building as a powerful synergy. I read one question where somebody was asking what is green building and what is green and sustainable buildings are the same. So I think they are synonyms. Its only thing is we see green as a color of peace, as a color of freshness, as a color of as a color of growth. Sustainability is just a way to achieve that particular thing. So basically, a green architecture or sustainable architecture works out the same. With this, I would like to start my presentation on a case study. We are doing right now a National Cancer Institute in Nagpur. Many of you who know Nagpur has a very extreme climate, and there were no uh, major super specialized hospital like cancer institutes in central India. So this particular location was not only feeding to Nagpur and Maharashtra, but also to places like Raipur and Madhya Pradesh, central Madhya Pradesh, Jabalpur, and all those kind of places and around. Uh, so basically, every kind of concept which comes to an architect's mind has to develop through an emotion. Uh, and when you talk about cancer hospital, mind you, I must tell you this was my first hospital which I started designing 4 years back, which I designed 4 years back, and was to be designed in phases because it's a huge 7 lakh square feet project. So we divided the whole project into 3 stages. So basically, we started with understanding what our clients feel about the particular project, so for them the project was a treatment, a hospital, and the way was hospital. As an architect, my project was hospital, so it was important for me to understand what do they want. They wanted compassion, tenderness, connection, and empathy. And the basic outline was that there has to be a single statement in architecture, in treatment lines, in helping, in serving, that cancer is curable. So that was the statement which we wanted to sort of show in our designs, and in outside the structure and inside the structure, and during the treatment. So the mission was very three simple phases: that we wanted to get into comprehensive cancer center, uh, I want to get into palliative cares, and of course sustainable charity. These are the three terms which defined a particular thing. So we were told that how we have to do, because they didn't want it to be. It's an NGO, so it doesn't want it to be like a very highly priced hospital. I think this hospital, which is already serving right now, I think phase two has been handed over. Serving right now is even less than Tata, what Tata Hospital is charging in Mumbai. Um so so when we started talking about developing this particular design, so what we thought, what will be my basis of design? So first of all, as the project needs a curable solution, so I think the first thing was that we need to talk about stability. Then we wanted to talk about sustainability. Then we wanted to reflect positivity. Most important for such kind of projects is credibility. Then for all these, getting to these particular things, you need something which is called out of box thinking. It's not only out of box thinking for architects, it's out of box thinking for people who are going to use this particular place. It's equally creative place as perhaps design studios, or as perhaps any other places, because this disease, or this total treatment for this particular disease itself is quite an unconventional system. And most important was, which we realized when I was representing government of Maharashtra in one of the conferences in Israel, was research. So there were many new treatments which are coming out in terms of stem cell therapies and other therapies, which are non-intrusive in terms of what can be added into this particular thing. So this was a brand which NCR wanted to take up as a young idol healing center, which was to be established in society. So then sustainable features which need to, when we start with the design, we'll come to the sustainable features which we sort of added later on. But what we started with was that how do we start the design? So we got this particular site which was totally south oriented site. The whole length of the site was facing south, and very interestingly, I didn't have much depth to that particular thing. So we did some case studies of whether we should have. So there are seven kind of different services what we are offering, which is I'm going to share the slides in coming time. So what we realize is, how do we start it? So the point, as any architect would do, is we do a sustainable study for the location of the site, the orientation of the site, the soil quality which exists there, what are the features which are in and around the particular site, what are the kind of future developments which are proposed in and around this particular site, what are the highways, this is on the main highways, what are the kind of highways which are proposed, and how do you want to tackle all these particular things in the design solution. So there was a very misconception when I talk to people that green building design is only that using good technology. Whenever may use I am not using CFLs, I use LEDs. I'm not using this. I'm just using basic paints. It doesn't. It's a part of design solution. It has to start from the time when the first idea is starts evolve your mind. What is your structure going to do? How is it going to be functionally responsible? Now we don't talk about beautiful buildings because I think all architects, people are all on board with beautiful designs and beautiful buildings. I think now what we're talking about is a very simple thing, which is what is your performance of the building? What is your building performance index of the building eventually over the life cycle of the particular conceived? And that is what the total focus comes to your mind that these are the features you want to start right there, then take up the pencil and the last day where you hand over the keys to a client. And also now, most important, most operated after you have done the project or your building is it healthy? Is it unhealthy? And how is it going to behave and the whole thing. So basically, I start with site. We see water, air, as very important how you balance all these five elements as a part of your design features and your design strategy. Then when you get inside, you're talking about quality, you're talking about section materials, what you want to do, you talk about renewable energy, what is the right time to use renewable energy. It isn't only that it's it should put some of the that building is which has a solar power strategy or you can do more productive, economically more viable and more responsible kind of solution by doing such kind of mega scale projects. And of course, the final thing is the building which tells the story that what achievers or what clients have come together and given to the society. So these are the whole process that we talk about when I start my design. I think, sorry. Benefits. So what are the benefits of green building? So when we talk about the whole strategy, the first of all, life cycle cost. It is more responsible. It's less of liability of the environment. It's better health productivity, better environment, and enhanced building marketability. And most important, it's a cost-effective design. And when you also call it, that whole thing is a very good micro ecosystem to the whole mega ecosystem of this world. So let me explain you the design. So as you see, my total project is on the southbound highway. So we created a quite interesting buffer in between the whole between the building and this thing. So you see, I've taken the building approximately 50 to 7, I think 120 meters inside, so that I get an inner buffer in coming future from the main highway to the main building. We had a strategy that we could have spread the whole project into different buildings because there are 5 to 7 departments that are going to happen. Considering the climatological presence in Nagpur, we decided that we want to consolidate all the MEP services or backup what we want to provide for this particular building as a one building, so that we can talk about more efficiency and recyclability of all the materials and spaces what we are going to create. Then we wanted to, since this is charitable, we wanted to create a zone which is for people who we wanted to give all the particular facilities free of cost. And on your west side, you see we have a pink shade pavilion and food court, which are basically a shared kind of structure which has been conceived where you have lots of Adivasis coming in who don't know about this particular disease and who are at the stage 3 or stage 4 detected of these particular things. Of course, Government of India in last so many years have now in the last couple of 5 to 6 years have actually taken this very seriously and created different tiered aggressive solutions for people to get this particular thing detected. And uh, and uh, so so we have actually worked out on the backside of creating these kind of pavilions with food court where they can have more something like langar. Everything will be free of cost, and a good shed pavilion who can't afford to stay in a hotel, so they can just take their bedding and stay in these particular sheds, and then common toilets and baths which have been created. On my east side, there was a niche At that particular stage, of course, now the project is become much bigger. This is when we were handing phase one, phase two. We had in-house all doctors and everybody to be staying within the campus, because this right now Jamtha being area which is around 35 to 40 kilometers from the 30 kilometers, I think, from the main center heart of Nagpur. So we thought that it's advisable that with such kind of campus we create all in-house facility first thing, and secondly, after some years, if we tend to grow and our research wing opens up, then we may go for more beds. Right now we've sort of focused on 500 beds in this phase of this building, plus a research center within this particular project. So the ideal situation, what you see is that we have sort of segregated the whole thing into a particular thing. We created our lay-bys at the entrance, where bus will be standing. We talked about circulation patterns of the patients who are going to drop in, how they're going to come out, and how they're going to move in. We created the car parking absolutely at the entrance. Right now, presently, it's all covered with the solar panels, and we are creating 1 megawatt solar energy right now during the construction time, not after the construction time. We, in fact, installed these particular things when my plinth was already coming up. So we have been using this particular energies to our benefit. Uh, if you go further, so the kind of circulations we created, that pedestrian circulation was divided from vehicular this thing, and enough buffers and levels were created in such a way that your vehicular traffic is actually hidden away from the main pedestrian entrances. So we created at the front porch where you see ground floor entrance written there. That was an independent, isolated 15-20,000 square feet of entrance space which was created, which was detached from the main building. That was one reason, was that we wanted to start this building when we had just created double basements, where I had already installed my Linux and my other services, radiotherapies and other things, CT scans and all those things. And so what we did was, instead of waiting for the main building, we created this entrance porch, and we actually dug a tunnel from this particular thing so that the construction can keep on going on the upper level, and we were able to start at least 70 beds at that particular stage in my phase one. Then by the end of a couple of months, it was 100 beds, and now right now 220 beds are already operation, and we're just waiting for another 1 year, and we should be able to hand over 500 beds. Now, what were the key features? If you see, if I just design, why I'm explaining my master plan to the sustainability is that it's not only the features what you need to work on, it's even the transportation strategy what you need to think of. You have to see the outdoor quality of ambience what you create for people of different stratas working on walking at different places. Stratas, I don't mean stratas in a way of income. Stratas means a patient's category and categorization of people who are going to use this facility. So you have welcome entrance landscapes, you have parking lots which were initially to be covered by tree cover, and then we thought that we'll just have a paver blocks below, and we'll have a solar panel on the upper this thing. And then we created lots of multiple level gardens, healing gardens. We call them the concept of healing gardens. We actually identified different kind of categories of people, like serious patients, people who are just visiting for regular chemos, regular visits of OPDs. Then we thought even staff who is going to work out, doctors who need some leisure spaces. So we actually accumulated different kind of categories and the patterns what people will be using. Even for the residential staff, they need a different kind of environment. So we actually created healing garden and recreational areas in such a way that whole particular things get talk to each other. So ease of directional guidance of OPDs, inpatients, emergency visitors, doctor, other stuff, everything was sort of moved in. Segregated pedestrian, this I've already explained you. We had lots of streetscapes which we have created, which I'll show you in coming slides. We have connections and transition spaces which have been moved in and around. When the building was long, what happens is that you tend to get the central core of the building gets to get dark, and which needs artificial lighting or artificial ventilations and in different patterns. So what we did is, I normally like to have my ingress of natural lights to the usable spaces as much as possible in the building. So the building looks, though it looks huge, we created four light wells in the form of courtyards, in which the whole parameter inside that particular zone started becoming like a ATMs or something which actually are lit naturally in and around. Similarly, since the building was whole air conditioned, the whole smoke extractors and fresh air inlets have been provided so that fresh air quality is maintained into different zones. Uh, Similarly, we have morgues and other things which have been like properly screened in some way or the other. And the passive landscape space is what we sort of created, which became a passive architecture strategy for the whole concept. And most important is that we had site services. Now, you'll be surprised if I go back the kind of cantilevers, the kind of structural innovations what we have done is that we have lots of cantilevers happening on the upper level, which I'll show you in the coming sections. We've created those kind of spaces in such a way that even the shadows of those particular cantilevers are supporting our these healing areas in some sort of shadowing strategy. Um, so these are the basic, just to run it out, that we have entrance and waiting, reception, we have diagnostics. So anybody who's working in the hospital, you understand that how the whole blockings were sort of organized in a particular way that the emergency services had a parallel road away from the 12-meter driveway what we have created in the main entrance. We had admin areas which is overlooking the food, stationery, and all those particular things in and around. So minimum walking spaces were the criteria. Second thing was that we also wanted to have a less collision between different departments. Till the time it is required to move into different, so we divided the departments into various levels. As you say, we went to the basement first, so it's not a complete basement. We have created a part two basement. Then we have so this was the tunnel which we created at the entrance. Basically, the lobby written, a staircase, and the lift was provided. So we just enter, you come to the waiting lounge, and all these Lionic rooms, treatment planning facilities, these became operational within 1.5 years of my starting of this particular project. So the project, even if it was going to go on the phase basis, we kept on adding to the various levels by this particular strategy. Um, so we had the first floor plan where you have the ground floor, then you come to the upper level. So it's a very high ceiling entrance, and Nagpur being a hot climate, so we thought that this may be a very interesting feature which may add in. And then we have escalators and lifts which took you to the upper waiting area on the first floor, which are overlooking. So there was a whole cross ventilation circulation which we thought of between south and north, which could have moved in and around, making all the areas vertical. And immediately next to the area, we gave the maximum public interface areas like OPDs next to each other, and all OPDs were connected to cafeterias with open terraces. So these terraces were designed with the special needs of cafeterias. And similarly, on your eastern side, we created a multi-purpose hall, the admin wing, which comes from the ground floor, which had its own terrace, which opens all multi-purpose hall opens into a pre-convention area and to the terrace area. Then we come to the second wall, then we have IPDs and various wards have their own waiting areas, which are used for various things, and see how the different departments have been placed in a particular way so that they have their own privacy at the same time. And so you see, at this particular level, we have started adding courtyards at two different blue areas, which you see we have lots of infusions happening into the whole light wells as light wells to in around this particular building. So then we have third floor plan where we have the typical residential MICU and ICU's cubicles which are placed amongst each other. Now these courtyards were actually giving support to the lift lobbies, and lift lobbies itself became equally lighted and an interesting view overall rather than dead spaces which we normally see in the hospital. So this also helps in creating a good micro environment in and around the project what we sort of conceive. um, then, as we go further, we have another floors or the fourth floor where we have OT departments. And if you see from the now the courtyards have gone a little bigger, so we have changed the spaces and we have come to different courtyards on the spaces which we have added little bit more areas so that the recovery areas and all those areas also get into get into those particular strategies. Uh, then we have a service floor because we now you see on the left side and the right side we've taken a 20-meter cantilever which sort of recedes from your third floor, fourth floor, and go up to the higher floor where we had more areas coming in those particular areas. And these cantilevers actually provided very good shades to the landscape areas which we have created on the first floor and the third floors on the these are different type of rooms which we had moved in to different floors. So sixth floor was the executive floor, of course, and most specialized thing was bone marrow transplant unit was placed on the thing which needed absolutely seclusion. Now the whole when I knew that my facade is on south, so the whole strategy was to be thought to a particular way that what is going to be the climatological conditions and what is the variations between temperature in hot and cold climate was the average grain path, and we created these particular things. So we knew exactly where my points are there. So even when we did the internal planning of the whole thing, we created a sort of passageways and buffers, you can say walkways between the south face to the main inside wall, so that the inside temperature remains insulated and it remains more optimal in terms of things. So depending upon different functions which I showed you, we created different strategies at different floors in as a part of our interiors plan. The elevation had to be robust because it wanted the whole thing was that they wanted it to be a particular very robust kind of character which they wanted to implore on that particular site. So perhaps that they had a NCR had uh, a logo, which was more like a bird dove or something. So we created the same kind of architecture which we had conceived to these particular things. And as you see on left and right side, the same strategy. I just give you the detailed explanation in coming slides how these particular things are helping me to have a good climate on the kind of gardens as well as the rooms which occupy below. Uh, it was a very perfect symmetrical site, huge site, which actually now this particular site actually becomes a quite a imploring and a bold mass on that particular thing, which looks very interesting. And the idea is to just have the whole thing being looked on. So this is what we sort of created, and so the structure has its wings and talks about the freedom. The whole front area is now car parking. Then we have a green buffer, and we have a central avenue which takes pedestrian. And we have a water bodies which actually give you a good climate. These are all constructed, by the way. And now the landscape and all are being developed. And my two floors I think are already operational, and upper floors are still under construction. So we hope to finish this particular thing. Now you see the and on ICU you see the upper level gardens which you can see. So those are like healing gardens for the patients uh, who can be there. So there are two levels gardens which are down, which actually give you a good view from administration and your multipurpose halls for your staff. So these are basically with the purpose of taking care of either academics or people public who are next to the cafeteria or so on and so forth. You will be surprised that whenever I go there for meetings, what have we see is that people are more not interested in sitting in the lobbies as what we normally see in different hospitals. You'll be surprised that these people are using the central lawn to the maximum extent. I've actually created lots of mounds. I've used rubbles over there, the site had too much of rock. We have used rubbles for people to actually sit there. You go at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, you will not find anybody in the lobby area. You will have only people in the OPD's rooms or consultation. Otherwise, all the attendants try to sit and use this particular thing and just be there for 2 hours, 3 hours, and think positive about it. Water has its own effect towards the whole climate and so once we started talking about strategies, we know that it's going to be air conditioned. So the efficiency of air conditioning, because that's going to be the major guzzler in my project. So we thought that we need to get the right optimal kind of glazing. So we designed. I think the earlier specs what we gave was normal DGUs and we had actually worked out a air conditioning load according to that particular module. As in the time went off, we had frozen more of our plans on the upper floors with different phases. We came to a conclusion that now is the time when we need to cover it and close the envelope in a particular way. Now to bring out the efficiency in air conditioning, and then we did the various analysis, the various U factors, and various types of performance glasses, which fits in our design strategies from in southern area and northern and western areas. And we worked out a particular way, and we found that this a particular type of performance glass came out to be very efficient. And I can probably tell you that we were able to save at least 27 to 30% of my capital cost of air conditioning. And now, since my AC plants, AHUs are already bought in, I'm actually making another building, which I'm utilizing these particular things for that particular part of our design strategies. Uh, so that can be the kind of effect what can happen by once you have your details of your materials, external facades, and everything what you intend to give. So these were the kind of architectural glasses. So though it looks like a efficient glass building, but the glass to wall ratio is just 22%. So we have lots of solid masses which run in architectural format, which gives the lots of glazings which you see have been covered up by canopies, uh, canopies which sort of have give a shadow on the complete movement of people in and around, not compromising on their air quality inside that particular movement zones. These recesses are quite deep, so I was not worried about FSI here being Nagpur and the kind of hospital which I was designing. So we actually took lots of deep shades. All these boxings are like 1 meters deep, like starts from 0.62 goes up to 1.2 meters deep at various places. So eventually they are being used as service corridors also at some places. And then all the southern portions and other portions, we actually created luvers, which became an interesting strategy for me to sort of have a good ambience of the garden to the rooms and in those particular areas, and so on and so forth. Um so the so these were the kind of six verticals which we try to accommodate on every floor, like diagnostic and emergency, ambulatory service on the ground floor, ambulatory care service, surgical suites on the upper floors, clinical and general supports, hospital engineering services. Then as I was talking to you guys, we had the green street concept, which were pedestrian friendly, and how many thousands of cubic feet of soil volumes were actually implanted, and the site was rocky, so we actually had to create good amount of landscapes by getting good soil volumes, creating more soil volumes from the place where we were able to extract that particular thing. So eventually the site was so rocky that whatever we did, we actually recycled those rubbles into all the road constructions what are happening within my site, as well as the highways. We were able to recycle it to the highway contractors, and which turned out to be literally free of cost for us. Then we had biospheres, which what we have created in around that particular building, which is a part of landscape features. Uh, as you see, my parking is at the start of the project. So the travel distance between parking and that particular thing is 100 meters. So we actually created a 50 meters walkway through the water bodies in around. And for other people going to other areas, we had like bike lanes, and we will have some other way of transports, maybe a modified autos or something, electrical autos, which would carry those kind of people. So it's not a general hospital; it's a specialized hospital. So we have some liberties to work on the different volumes of people who are going to use this particular thing. Similarly, once you come inside, so healing garden became a very important concept for me to work out. Like you see a picture where you're seeing a particular space which is like which could have been a barren space, and you have characterized the whole landscaping into again the same principles, which engages all your five senses: sense of place, sense of life, sense of compassion, sense of community, sense of security. So all these particular things get amalgamated and synergized into your design strategy when you put all these particular things together. So it's great to know different your functions properly, so that you are able to think simultaneously and involve these particular things at the same time as a part of your product. So No, so basically, again, what benefits what I get is functionality, maintainability, environmentally sound, cost effective, and visually pleasing was the whole thing which we've started getting. So we have already completed the ground level landscape areas, and now we are working on the upper floors. As I was talking to you about glasses, so we use DGUs definitely to reduce heat ingress, but at the same time not compromising any ventilation and design daylight. So I have analysis on literally every space vary with me in terms of energy modeling, which and and the different other studies which we did of elements what we have used. So the whole thing is the whole thing. So somewhere we have actually used the stat since we were going for terrace gardens as a part of healing strategy. So I was not required to do any under deck installations, and only places where we actually had to leave things for services on the upper terraces and all there is where we even going for under deck installations. Of course, paints and all low VOC, everybody is using it. We were able to actually with smart engineering, value engineered solutions. I think Hiten Maimtura is a consultant. With these cantilevers, we converted. Initially, we had done concrete, and it was taking more time. So we collaborated with Jindal JSW, and we came up with a solution of giving a 20-meter cantilever with four live loads, four live floors uh, onto that particular thing. And we were actually really surprised that we were able to save on steel and cement through this particular effective design. Not mentioning whatever time we saved on the whole thing. MEP planning again, we had a high efficiency water cooled chillers. We had VFDs, which we have used, environmental friendly refrigerant systems, carbon monoxide monitoring and control. For me, air quality is a very important thing. 50% of mostly all the irrigation systems and everything have used a recyclable water, and we've used drip irrigations for most of the things. We have actually were able to reduce our domestic water consumption. Uh, 25%. STPs, of course, this has been provided. We also did contract with a third-party validation of MEP system performances because post this project, it's a very MEP intensive project. So the whole thing is like how we try to save the our capital cost from I think 1,800 tons to 1,300 tons of phase one. So even the cost analysis when we did, we were able to actually save around 1.2 crore of electrical cost from my earlier design strategy to this design strategy. Um, then, of course, organic waste composting and everything. Solar power, we had a very interesting what do you call study. So what we did was we actually utilized those barren open land which hosts my car parking right now, uh, and we created a 1 megawatt 900 kW solar plant initially before even the building started coming up as substructure. Benefit which I got was till today I've not spent any money on uh, cost of electricity. So how? So you see, what we understand is we when I conceive of a project, you work out a particular strategy like 3% or 2% is the cost of electricity when you do any tendering or any costing of any particular project. So for example, if my project was is 550 crores, so 2% itself was coming to around 11 crores to 12 crores rupees. My cost of installing of this particular 1 megawatt plant was 4.5 crores after subsidizing whatever we got from different department. And till today, I've been able to like whole project is going to get over next year, and I have not been and I've not spent any money. So if you see, we have already recovered three times the cost with this kind of strategy. Nagpur again is a very dry climate, so we use paver this thing. So to sum it up, what we did was we sort of used uh, sustainable architecture as a tool to cover up the whole strategies of different departments and coming under one envelope into one active design features and passive design features. So active design features may we use best of technology, equipments, modern state of building, right from my Linux, which are like top of the world. We're using therapy, CT scans, and even mammography machines. What we have got are like I think they're the next generation machines which we have put there. So that is where we've sort of put them as a facility. But at the same time, my passive design strategies, whatever we did, automatically with a conventional compared to conventional system, we were able to save as much as 17% of the energy at the initial time when we were designing the whole thing. Use of local materials, a study of local climate, to study of water management over there. So much, so much. All these particular things, as I explained to you earlier, gave me a uh, good thing. So, complete, if just want to summarize on the particular part of sustainable passive architecture, we had efficient building orientations. See, orientation is not in an architect's hand to a certain extent, but there are ways to mitigate to those particular parts into, and then there's always a balance which you would like to keep for your branding and your this particular thing, and then you come up with a optimal solution for everything. Facade designs plays a very important role. Your window to wall ratio, design of shading devices, and percentage of daylight achieved. Roof gardens, which were there as a part of healing gardens, solar panels, and then finally, what is the conclusive manuals what you were able to get to for running of that particular building. So it's a strategy which included for ambient energy usages were daylighting, natural ventilation, and solar energy. And the paths, as I've already explained, that what we did was maximizing thermal comforts and use of topography and natural materials. This was a kind of efficient building orientation, how we worked out the whole envelope, where we actually worked out at micro levels of elements like sunshade, deeper recesses, fenestrations to optimize task-based lux levels of indoor temperature, so that even the lighting can be optimized. Even the lowers which you see in the elevation, which looks fantastic, were actually worked out on strategies. We actually, even the angles of the strategy, whether the lower should be horizontal or vertical, what are the effects on these particular lowers, what should be the depth of the lower. So these particular things were actually studied and reports made, and we were able to come out with a strategy that what is that we need from what time to what time, and you cannot have a same strategy for southern phase, and you cannot have a same strategy for uh, north phase or west phase. So you need to work out a particular balancing kind of options after thorough studies are done. So this, as Anand was also showing, that each lure, each sunshade have a different effect on your indoor light quality. So, what kind of materials for the lures to be used? What will the glazing indexes, which will give you a complete ambient and a complete thing? In surgical unit, you don't need so much of light, so you can have deep recesses. What are the features, which functions, which are going to do inside? So all these particular things actually come up as a part of analysis, and to allow users for the optimum sun rays which need to enter, and the particular things to be used as an efficient space inside. These are a couple of functionality studies what we did. So typical glazed buildings, as per ASHRAE baselines of 48%, we were able to maintain it to 38%. Um, then we, instead of using a normal glass, even we increase the thicknesses of DGU reflected performance glasses, what we have gone to 24 mm. By increasing the cost of 1.2 crores of my glasses for the whole project, we were able to save equal amount per year usage of electricity, and of course the capex of air conditioning what we did. Now these are a couple of studies which we did on designing of shading devices, various analysis of horizontal and vertical fins, and the tilts upwards or sideways. So it was more like I actually wanted to see what are the effects of these kind of things which happens to my building, and the environment which needs to be given for this particular thing. So we did this kind of saying what should be the optimal spacing between these two frames. These are also become very important. So we did two case studies where we had 1.5 feet and 3 feet or 2.5 feet of gaps which we want to create between this thing. So we did all these thermal studies again, and with 20% upward trend, 20% sideways. So all these studies gave us various results. And you see, with all these kind of studies of case A, B, C, D, you see different flows acted in a very different way. And we realized that case B became more efficient in terms of our daylight achieving. In KC, we had more of glare coming in on fourth floor, and similarly on other features. So the minimal size sites, whatever we thought was efficiently being achieved, was case B. So then we actually put it into a different formats, and so what is the percent of daylight achieved? So earlier we had in case A, if we had louvers of 400 we had 67.4%, and in case B, we had 75.8% of my daylight which was being achieved at those areas. So similarly, we did the same studies on the courtyard light wells, what we have created. If you see in the skylights over here, uh, and that's how. And then what is the effect of terrace gardens, like as we call it, healing gardening? What is the effect of the reduction of heat loads which have happened because of this? Uh, Solar panels again. So this is the kind of thing. Abhi, right now, of course, it was 1.8. Now it has increased. Now when it's completed, it will be around 4 to 5 megawatts electricity, and we need to do a similar kind of strategy in coming phase during operational time, whenever it's going to start. So the whole thing was appreciated by the government, and with the subsidy what we got through MNRE and MEDA, we were able to get a very exclusive costings for 3.37 crores, and we are creating our 4,000 units every day. Uh, so all BLT for the exterior glass with 35% we used in our window systems, and then this was in turn seen in the relation with the louvers what we've used. And louvers covered kept maximum because we increased the VLT, and so we minimized the VLT, and so we increased the this thing. So it goes hand in hand. Similarly, single glass facades at certain areas only we have sort of created. With the total, if you see the summary, that we had a reduction of 25% in annual energy required for indoor light, which is being achieved now, even in the part which we are operational, and a reduction of 52.9 of annual energy required of fans could be achieved. So we had a strategy where we, in fact, not only not for purifying, even the rooms we have actually added fans as a part of strategy. So we are working on a strategy of keeping 25 degrees as a temperature. At the phase one, Ratan Tata Saab himself was present, because this is one of the major installations for though it's not government of Maharashtra, but for Maharashtra itself. Um the first phase was inaugurated in 2016. We also got international recognition and award for this particular institute as one of the best designed South design hospitals in South Asia Pacific. Lastly, I will before I close down, Dalai Lama had a very good statement to make, and which always guides me at the time when I'm stuck up in the design, is human use, population, technology have reached a certain stage where Mother Earth no longer accepts our presence with silence. We need to do, guys, something about it. And now is the choice when we can pick our side and make this world uh, a COVID-free, pollution-free, a world to stay here, so that more of our generations can enjoy the benefits of Mother Earth. Thank you. Yeah,
Am I audible?
yeah, Jitendra, we can hear you.
Yeah. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, I can hear you for sure.
Yes, sir. Everybody can hear you, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. I'm able to hear you, sir. Please go ahead, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. So thank you very much uh, to architect Hiten Sethi. Fantastic presentation, and the way you have used the terraces, created terraces, integrated in the design, and with all the sustainable features of design which you displayed. I think it was a great day to watch that presentation. And also, my thanks to Anand for giving and enlightening us about what IGBC is doing. And I will like to make a request to all the viewers of this programs who are attending this particular interesting session. Guys, what Hiten Bhai has told in the last moments of his presentation, it's quite true that it is we should start as soon as possible. Let us have that sense of urgency and emergency on with us. We are already experiencing a lot of challenging times, the present challenging times, and I hope with effective and building mission, we can definitely make it possible. So thank you very much. Somebody needs to guide me whether we are taking the QA session or shall we replying it afterwards. Anand, please.
Sir, if you and Hiten Sethi Saab are available for a couple of minutes, we'll take 2-3, and then in another 5 minutes, 12:45, we can wind up. And I'm seeing I made a note of all other questions also. Somebody has asked about the STP and others. I will respond to them also. Sandeep?
Yes, sir. We have.
I think you can go ahead and conduct the QA session for the.
Sure, sir. A couple of questions we got. Let me pull into some categories and put one by one. There are 4 broad questions to Mr. Anand. They are mentioning they wanted to understand the differences between IGBC Council and Griha Council. Second, they also wanted to understand the process for to becoming an IGBC accredited professional, and third, they also wanted to understand regarding the products, how the product can be certified as green, and also they also mentioned about the other in the technologies been shown in the presentation. They wanted a detail or sharing the presentation too. These are the 4 categories for Mr. Anand that the questions have been asked.
Thanks, Sandeep, but one at a time, I'll take it one by one. Number one, in order to become an IGBC AP, you are most welcome. You already attended a beautiful session by architect Hiten Sethi Saab. He has dealt in a greater detail of a live example, how you can control the energy modeling, fins, and everything he has covered very exhaustively. So this itself he has taken off very well. If you want, we are organizing another training program for a one-day session. I will come back to you. After attending the training program, the online exams are available in all the major cities and towns across the country. So there are multiple choice questions. 110 questions are given. All are objective type. No need to memorize any of that. No pen and pencil are allowed. So 110 questions, 85 marks one gets, he becomes an IGBC accredited green building professional. So already country has more than 4,500 plus IGBC accredited professional. Anybody who's listening, who is interested, all of you, please contact me. I'll give you more details, number one. Number two, Sandeep, our participants are asking about products. As I told you, because of want of time, I've rushed through. There are, we launched a separate certification program called Green Pro. Green Product Certification. Pro stands for product. So as I told already, we are working with more than 200 plus companies. 1,000 plus products are already certified. We have a protocol. This protocol has been recognized by Global Eco-Labeling Network. Please visit our website igbc.in. It has a lot of information. If you are looking for any specific product, if you are a manufacturer wanting to know how to get your product certified under Green Pro, please write to us. We'll be more than happy to handle you and share the details. Third one is about various technology. I also read what is the technology used on the STP on the compound wall. See, there are many technologies which uses the nature's way of treating the wastewater. What I shown in our office is known as phytoremediation. So there are 3 different species of plant has been chosen. So the water after getting collected into an STP, where only the organic waste enters the surface, not on the surface. The water travels through the root. Many people think that it comes into the surface and it stings. It is not coming to the surface at all. It comes only in the root. There is a system available. There are pipes, holes, and pebbles has been laid out. The roots come in contact with the organic waste. This becomes a food for them. The oxygen required by the organic waste water is pumped through this particular plant. So I will share you it. As far as the STP on the house is concerned, as I told you, they are not using the urinal or wastewater. Only the kitchen sink, shower, and the dishwasher, which has only the organic waste and the water. So they have constructed the compound wall. It's a small plot. It's not even, it's a 1,200 square feet house. So the compound walls are at the 3 levels. So from the water collected from these places, kitchen sink, dishwasher, and shower, and washing machine, it comes into this, and they have planted these saplings with the waterproofing material. So it comes, water travels in the 3 levels on the 3 parts of the compound wall. When it comes to the first one, which is the lowermost, it becomes a clear water. It is collected in a small pot and used for irrigation. So that is the STP on the compound wall. About the other rating programs, every country has a couple of rating programs. There is another rating program agency, but India is the first country which started in year 2001. IGBC represents all activities in World Green Building Council. We are handling more than 200 plus government projects. With Hiten Sethi Saab, who said that we are fortunate enough to work with him on the Navi Mumbai Municipal Corporation, which looks like a very, very contemporary architecture, amazing building in Navi Mumbai for the Municipal Corporation. We are handling MOE of Paryavaran Bhavan in Lodi Road in Delhi, where the Minister for Environment and Forest sits. Jawaharlal Nehru Bhavan, Ministry of External Affairs, lot of institutions. It is all government projects are also with IGBC. So IGBC is the first council. It started in year 2001. So it is and market share. We are talking about having 25 different rating programs. In fact, the metro rating program, world's first metro rating, has been launched by IGBC with the support of Delhi Metro and others. So we are the first and pioneers and premium certification agency. If you have any details, if you need further details about our rating program, all of you are most welcome to visit our website or call us or write to me also. Thank you, Sandeep.
Thank you so much, sir. Hiten Sethi sir, there are some couple of questions where I think you can also able to see that there are a few which is on a very macro level and also a few micro level.
Yeah.
One on the broader perspective, because in the participant I could see many architects there. They mentioned that they were asking what should be our approach as architects in future to deal with climate change, now to create sustainable environment.
See, as I think both the presentations covered various aspects which can be which have to be looked into as a part of your design strategy to address. So automatically, if you have all these particular things happening at the time when you're designing, as I told you, the first line which you draw, first concept which you think is something where we actually that's the time when you start thinking on your all these particular elements simultaneously, like how you as a design process, how you do your all the functions. We do a design first. At the same time, we start thinking of the various features of the facades. Now there are 3 more things which you need to do. So you have to think of the strategies and its conclusive measures in which the whole thing gets accumulated into one particular strategy, in which you can number the particular efficiency of that particular building, of which software we are using, like Ecotel or whatever, and get your numbers right. There will be times when you will be surprised. Like I have always questioned CBC that why do we always talk about, in fact, with Rakesh Kumar Miri's director, I had one question that why do you want to restrict it to glazing to be 40%? I mean, there's so much of performance glasses, the glasses, the kind of quality of glasses which you can as a part of your design strategy. You can use at least 70% of the particular thing, and still your thermal comfort inside the building and outside can be mitigated in terms of the things. I mean, if I have 70% of my glasses and I have some projections which are happening at various places, automatically the effect to the output to the indoor gets mitigated. So as an architect, what I always do is I don't want anybody to sacrifice the 3D part of the design, but all the glasses have to be part right from day one when you start designing your project. And that's how I think will be the adaptive solution. We are actually a good strategy for getting an efficient result. And due to this climatic changes, as you rightly said, wherever you use summers, there's this push factor. My parents have research. I got the last week they had rainfall in April. I mean that was supposed to be when climate is too and get more hot and so we are seeing this kind of changes what are happening. But I remember when we study and we implement these type of programs, we have a rich history of 100 years or 70 years. We actually make it a part of our database, and that is how the emphasis on volleyball. As a part of conscious designer, whatever is happening, it can be a part of your added design fusions. So that if for example, you rightly said the monsoons have gone very high in certain areas which we try. So Delhi saw flooding happening this time quite a number of months. So your design has to keep on maturing from time to time. I mean, you cannot do anything about the database on which you have to present your basics of your design and each features. But seeing the present normal also, nobody has stopped you to give 100% more efficient program. It may look like a little expensive or little broader thought process of an architect, but nevertheless, BT station, which was CSC station, which was designed hundreds of years back, is still catering to our requirement of Mumbai. So at one particular stage, people may feel that we are extravagant, but at a certain stage of people, you are forced to actually involve so many design things into your strategy and make a product like that. So it's always a relative and your personal conscious decision to do what you want to do.
Yeah, one more question particular to the project which you have looked at. They were asking about the building orientation in east-west direction would be better with respect to hot and dry climate in Nagpur, where the south end is very harsh and the elevation gets on higher side on the south, which heats up very faster. So they are asking about your choice.
Yes. So you see, the first of all, the building was full air conditioned. It's not a residential building, or it's not a it's a building which has a complete air conditioning system. And during my presentation, I had given you two mitigated measures. What we did was, since the branding was to come from my main highway about the particular project which stands so tall on and so long on that particular pass. So even if we have given your glazings at a particular thing which proper analysis and added with performance glasses with lots of this sunshades and boxings which are covering it up. Nevertheless, from inside also, I'm not given any active room next to the glazings. What I've done is I've either created corridors, walking corridors, and the inside of those particular corridors is where my ICUs or my rooms are there, which do not need light. So depending upon the location depending upon the location and the analysis, each and every area has been done to calculate. So, for example, if you have a OT, operation theater, you don't need a lux level inside because it's basically a closed room. So what happens is, into that particular part where it is a closed room, you have to place your elevation and your planning strategy in simultaneously in such a way that that particular thing gets the it's like a mask. So whenever we have given those particular areas inside to the so my if you see, my rooms are normally oriented towards west, north, and east directions. On front, we have very less usable rooms which needs sunlight and direct light. So my functional units I have placed on the southern face. Now east-west direction, when you say hot and dry climate right now, and the kind of MEP what requirement of my this particular project was that we needed more of light into those particular areas. Most of the areas do not require lights into the whole particular functions which are required in the areas. Like there, since it's a cancer institute, so there are lots of radioactive management systems which are being placed at the basements, and you have to store those particular things which work out into which have to be isolated and then taken it out by the waste management guy. So accordingly, you have to actually, when so it's not very simple, and it's like it's a general this thing that the orientation of the building has to be east-west direction. So orientation of the building will always be in east-west direction. What functions are to be placed in east-west direction, that needs to be studied. The cantilevers which you see, which has all the rooms and all, are all in east-west directions. So all the lobbies and the corridor areas which require which have no permanent usages are on the southern direction, but giving the same facade. So I was able to create actually a buffer through these corridors so that my facade of the building looks prominent from the main highway.
So we'll take the last question because the session will end at 1 o'clock. We'll take the last question because you ended up with mentioning about the cantilever of the project. They also wanted to know the details of the 20-meter cantilever and how the drainage is taking place in the green terrace on these cantilevers. And they also wanted to know the agency who is been involved in the facade of the project.
Agency means what?
Maybe I think they are asking for the supplier.
No, the contractor or the consultant?
No, I think
Hello.
We're not sure. I think
their
they mentioned
question
about
must be for the facade consultant. What I guess.
A facade consultant is Upendra. He's
So
from,
anyway, that can be communicated
yeah.
at a later
So-
stage
so-
also.
So the question was what about the waterproofing systems? Basically, membrane-based waterproofing systems, and there are cells, and there have been details which have been given. We have also provided drip irrigations on various drip, elevations. There have been sumps which have been created on terraces, from which from the outside ducts there are various ducts which have been created inside the facade, which takes all these rainwater pipes to the down and then to the outside.
Thank you so much, sir. A small announcement to all the participants. Many questions have been asked about the recordings of the presentation. These recordings of the presentation, the link will be shared to all the participants tomorrow in their email. That's what I wanted to announce. And I request Jitendra Mehta, sir, to do the closing remarks, and then we'll close the session, sir.
No, I'm. Thank you so much. Thank you once again, Hiten Bhai and Anandji, for spending time for IGBC Indore. And we are yet again coming up with some lot of interesting activities. I would like to take this I'd like to praise the forum that we are launching today a student design competition, which is going to be what students think about the future residences after COVID. So there are a lot of interesting activities which are coming up from IGBC Indore. And thank you once again, Hiten Bhai, and thank you Anandji, and thank you Sandeep, thank you Pooja, and all the attendees, all who have attended the program. Please be there for the next time. So that's it from my side.
Thank you, Jitendra Saab. Thanks for leading us from the front. Thank you, Hiten Saab, for sharing your own personal project, which is of world class. Thank you once again. Thank you, participants. Stay home, stay safe, stay healthy.
Yes, and thank you, Jitendra, for everything.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All
Thank you.
attendees, thank you so much for your patient audience.
Yeah. Bye. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. And take care, everybody. Be safe. Bye.